So another thing, so a lot of guys get into, okay, the size of buck, right? So let's just talk about that for a second. I haven't even talked about goals yet. A lot of people make that a goal. I'd say that's a vision. What's your vision for the deer, the ideal deer you want to take? And I think you can get an idea of the property, given some time and history, of what does that look like in your area. So what are your trail cameras showing? What are you seeing? What are the neighbors seeing? What do the neighbors get? What do you get as far as harvesting? What does that top 10% look like? That's probably the peak of where you are right now. You kind of already probably know that. So if, let's say you got 20 bucks, just as a number, that you're seeing, you have on camera and stuff, that'd be like the top 2 or 3 of those bucks. What are they? What are the age class? What are they in score, if you can find that out? Once you figure that out, so let's just, again, assume something. Let's say that is a 3.5-year-old deer, and I'm going to give a couple numbers here. Let's say it's 110 inch would be one example, and then we'll look at a 130 inch. Let's say that's your average score for a 3.5-year-old. Just from science alone, we kind of know how deer progress and how much they grow by year. So this is off scientific studies. I'll find it and link it in the notes. But at 3.5 years, for example, bucks have about 80% of their growth. So if you just extrapolate that and say, okay, we're just going to have a vision of letting them get a year older. That's a realistic thing we can do. We're going to let them get 4.5 before we shoot these deer. And again, be honest about your neighbors and working with them to achieve that, right? But if you do that, that is about 90% of their potential, which is a 124-inch deer. That is your realistic vision of your property. If your 3.5 was 130-inch, you extrapolate that to 90% at 4.5, that's about a 138-inch deer. That's what you could expect. If you're expecting a 200-inch deer and that's your reality, again, that's probably not what you can, I mean, it could happen, but that's not realistic, right?
Right. And doing a small, like, trail cam survey almost is a very realistic thing that most people could do. It's just,
right.
You got to do it kind of methodically. You got to try and have some, like, data with it of, but that's very much within reach for the average guy with a couple cameras.
Right. And then if you go to letting one go 5 or more years where they're pretty much reached their potential, that's getting to 146 inches, I think. I did the math here. And then at the 130 inch, it would be like around 163 inches, right? So it just depends on your area, and that depends on hunting pressure in your area. It depends on genetics. There are just certain areas that don't have the genetics for that growth, and also nutrition. And you can affect some of those, but you can't affect everything.